Welcome again, and thank you for being here. So, our goals and objectives for this session are pretty simple. We are looking to show district and central teams how to leverage Insight, the Insight platform, to conduct needs assessments, analysis of assessments, to help your schools develop CEP or instructional goals, and also to use the New York City School Quality Rubric as a tool for school improvement, even when you're not having a quality review. So we're going to support technical and adaptive skills using OPE tools and resources. We're going to talk through some effective practices from the field, and we're going to make sure that you have all the resources and tools you need to turnkey this with people in your district or school communities, whichever groups that you work with. So because we're OSQ, Office of School Quality, we can't have any meeting without having a quote. So here's our quote for this meeting. One of the goals of education is not to simply fill students with facts and information, but to help them learn how to learn. So our biggest overarching goal is to help you help your teachers to help your students learn. And thinking about the features of Insight. So everyone take a look at this chart. And these are the four main things that Insight helps districts and schools do. It gives you a scope of analysis. It helps you with data disaggregation, actionable insights, and user interface. So by scope of analysis, we're talking about that it gives you comprehensive comparisons at various levels. You can compare classes in a school, you can compare grade levels, you can compare yourself to the district, to the city, to your superintendency. For data disaggregation, you can identify strengths and areas of improvement across multiple groups by grade, content area, class, and Daniel's going to go through that a little bit more later. Insight gives you actionable insight, so you get a holistic picture of your students. You can make informed decision on standards to focus on. You can see questions from assessments and see the actual questions where maybe your student struggled and use that to inform lesson or unit planning. And the user interface, it's user-friendly dashboards and visualizations, most of which can be downloaded via an assortment of ways that Daniel will also share with you, or for charts and graphs, screenshots could be taken to share in decks or in other documents with your schools and school communities. So I mentioned briefly School Quality Rubric. Most of you who are school leaders, and just pretty much probably everyone here, is familiar with the School Quality Rubric. We're going to plop the current link in the chat. The School Quality Rubric is good to use all through the year. It's not just for when you're having a quality review. It helps you evaluate school quality. It helps you incorporate culturally responsive practices into your classrooms. And most importantly, it articulates for you and the people that you support the clear impact between school practices and their impact on teaching and learning. So just to call out a little bit, to hone in on the rubric a little bit, so we'll hone in a little bit on 4.2, which is teacher teams and leadership development. So you can see in the box on the left the wording exactly from the rubric. And it's the practice and the impact. So structure professional collaborations and promoting shared leadership and focusing on improved student learning and CRSC practices. So when you're using the rubric as a tool for school improvement, indicator 4.2 can support school leaders with continuous improvement using an inquiry approach. Strengthening teacher instructional capacity, fostering effective teacher leadership, and increasing coherence and student achievement for all learners and groups of students. So pretty much the goals that you're looking to have on your CEP and across your school. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and my colleague Daniel Kim is going to take you on a little Insight walkthrough.
Insight is a phenomenal tool in the sense that it aggregates information from multiple platforms to be able to kind of help you think about the data of your students. Um, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of multiple functions, but I do want to let you know immediately that depending on the level of user you are, you're going to see slightly different things. For example, if you are an Opal working with multiple schools across the district, you'll see a multi-school dashboard. If you are a school leader, you will see information across your entire school. If you are a teacher or a teacher level or a staff level, you'll see information about the students that are pertaining to you based on your class, based on ATS. So you'll see multiple things, multiple levels of users, but at the same time, the functionality of the dashboard of Insight is pretty consistent across the board. So the first function that I want to kind of highlight was the multi-school dashboard for those users who are working with schools across the district or multiple schools across many districts. According to the dashboard, you're able to kind of land at a place where you can see information at a snapshot. If you look at the information on notifications, you get to see a couple of tiles based on a category that you select, either on assessments. If I'm a district focusing on District 2, for example, the tiles will give you information around the information that you ask for. If you drill down a little further, the details, as a multi-school user, you can select which district you're working with, select the category, either attendance, assessments, and the various different drop-down menus you see, and select the chart to see a snapshot of that information on the dashboard. Um, Similarly, for multi-school users, you can filter that information specifically for your schools or your superintendencies or by district. If you are a single school user, I'm just going to use one example from District 2. You'll see something similar. You'll see a tile based on a category that you use, assessments, attendance, or suspensions, and in the specific information. I do want to bring to your attention this radio button, add subgroup. We'll come more to that later on. It could be an incredibly powerful tool that's available for you in Insight. So based on the dashboard, one of the things that are consistent across the board for any level of user is the tile bar up top, drop-down menus. So we have courses and pathways, tools, and assessments. I'm going to bring your attention to assessments for today, looking at the NWEA map growth. And one of the things that you can actually utilize is the information gathered from the assessments. It has administration windows, growth and performance, and you can drill down onto the information based on the district or the school that you're focusing on. I will not specifically drill down onto any of the schools because this session is being recorded and to protect the privacy of the students. I do want to bring to your attention the filter function on the left-hand side of the bar. You can filter the information that you visualize on grade served, accountability status, district. But as you drill down specifically into the school, you can also drill down by grade, by the groups of students that you want to specifically focus on, as part and parcel of the power that Insight makes available to you. One of the things that I also want to bring to your attention is the school downloader. If you go to the downloader, either by one of the buttons up at the left-hand side or through the tools, you can actually download the information of anything that's available on Insight, test data, attendance, all the way down to promotion status based on specific groups of students or students. And you can filter that information by grades, L status, students with IEPs, on any of the information that's available to you to download into a comma separated value file, CSV, in which you can open up in Excel on your desktop. I do want to bring to your attention of being very mindful of the information that you do download because there are, of course, privacy concerns of sharing information or attachments, which is provided here as a warning as well. So thinking about the drop downs, the assessment information that you can provide, the tools that are available, as well as the dashboard. We'll drill down into more of the assessments and information as you continue to go through the case study. But it's an incredibly powerful way of gathering information for your groups of students, your students in general, or groups of schools across the board. The information is aggregated from, of course, the New York State tests, Khan Acadience, as we'll be talking about today, growth, as well as that from ATS, as well as STARS. So it kind of aggregates that information so that you are able to visualize the information as well as download the information for you to play around with, depending on your comfort level across on Excel and databases. So this is a quick walkthrough. It is not meant to be comprehensive. We will give you additional resources on how to navigate this. But at this point, I'm going to ask Robin to head on back to the slide, and we'll continue our talk. So at this point, I want to do a quick walkthrough of a case study of how we've seen Acadience use on Insight be directly applicable to a school community. Robin, myself, and Jen, we are directors, and Jen is our senior director in the Office of School Quality. And we have the good fortune of visiting school communities as part and parcel of quality reviews this year and years past. We're fortunate enough to have conversations with school leaders and teachers to see how they utilize the data available to them to leverage that information into changes in instructional practice and pedagogy curricula to drive school improvement. So one of the things that we saw, and this is an example that we saw in this past school year, a school leader shared with me that they utilized Acadience using the information on Acadience, and she actually walked me through this, of the reading work they've done. So one of the things that they found out based on clicking on the Acadience tab through assessments, and they were able to drop down information on the performance. So one of the things that I'll highlight is once you're able to drill down into your own school level's performance, you can see color-coded bars on student level performance. Red being well below, orange being below, at and above benchmarks. This school leader was able to find out that the nonsense word fluency, correct letter sounds, was something that they were struggling with as a part of looking at the entire school community for grade 1. So when you drill down on Acadience, one of the portions that you're able to tell is the comparisons. Well, did it happen just now, or did it happen over the course of the full year? Is it the same group of students or different groups of students? Using the same students over time, drop down menu under the performance section. The school leader was able to tell that this is something that is fairly new. The same group of students in first grade, looking back in their performance in kindergarten, they did particularly, they were performing far better in their kindergarten level than versus kindergarten first grade. Well, obviously the assessment in kindergarten is different from the assessment in first grade. So this bore some additional thinking and kind of drilling down. So she was also curious, is it just my across the board students across the board, or particularly my students with IEPs? I brought to your attention the little radio button with the plus sign. It says add subgroup. One of the powers of Insight is that you're able to add a subgroup to actually visualize how the students did. So this particular school leader was able to use students with IEPs in the add subgroups. And you'll notice on the middle of the screen, the subgroup that you select is displayed with the same color code, but with a striped bar. So the subgroup that this school leader selected was that of students with IEPs. And you can see the color similarities between all students and students with IEPs, except difference of the bars. But the other particular strength of Insight in which the school leader was able to highlight was if you click on the bar, any of the bars that's presented, students with IEPs, all students across the city, for your students, if you click on that bar, you'll notice the red arrow clicking to the student list. The list of students who performed at that level is automatically generated on the right side of your screen. We are not showing that example today to protect student information, but you're able to click on that information and tells you how many points the students were able to get. So what was the difference in the market difference in how the students performed between kindergarten and first grade? Well, this school leader was able to tell, like, well, there's different things that they're testing. If you look at the Acadience reading measures that are also embedded in the Acadience page under assessments, it tells you information about the first sound fluency, letter naming fluency, phoneme segmentation fluency, and the bars in which these things are being assessed in the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. The school leader noticed that the nonsense word fluency is introduced the first time in the middle of the year in grade 1. And that's one of the reasons why the students particularly drop in performance level. If you hover on the bar, the right arrow, as you can see, tells you more additional information on the nonsense word fluency. So this school leader was able to tell, okay, this is the reason why some of our students performed markedly poorer in the middle of the year and the end of the year in grade 1 than they did in kindergarten. So what did this school leader do? Well, it wasn't the fact that they were able to just get the information on the Acadience on Insight, but one of the things that we particularly noted was this school leader was able to utilize that information to drive the instructional changes. So this information was reviewed with the first grade teacher team. You'll recall that Robin had mentioned 4.2 on the New York School Quality Rubric of teacher teams, so 4.2. And the first grade teacher team here was able to kind of review the curriculum mappings for phonics instruction, particularly oral word fluency and retelling, which is something that's going to come up across more first grade. They were able to kind of highlight the review of special education support services for first grade, as well as plans for support going into second grade. Not only did they just, the power of which they were just not only noticing trends and patterns of the data, but this school year was able to directly translate the changes in instruction in curricula as well as pedagogy through the work of teacher teams. So in addition to this information, you'll see the steps in which the school leader was able to kind of articulate. They had plans specifically for review lesson plan formats for guided practice, review teacher modeling. So when we're talking about the fluency work, how are we modeling this information? How are we doing this work with our students? And thinking about potential student groupings. So does this make sense? Do these groupings of students make sense? Do we need to revise this information? Obviously, this information was directly related to students going into second grade, because this is the groups of students going into second grade. But to be able to collaborate with the teacher teams for the second grade, as well as collaborate with teachers in kindergarten to be able to kind of support that information. An additional wondering that this teacher team came up with was, well, okay, we looked at similarities in performance for students with IEPs with that of our general ed students. How do our L students perform with these words? So this is the next step for them to articulate more, not only just the data analysis of information of Acadience on Insight, but to be able to kind of think about, okay, how do we delve deeper in this information? What additional things can we find out about based on using additional subgroups? The radio plus button is part and parcel of the work. We also have the little bullets on the right-hand side here for teacher teams and leadership development. Thinking about areas where students show some proficiency that can be leveraged into identified areas of need. This kind of highlighted the work of inquiry work that teacher teams were doing within the school community and surfaced wonderings about needed literacy skills, pacing, and stamina for the students who went and performed in the Acadience test as seen on Insight. At this point, they were able to highlight multiple points on the New York School Quality Rubric on 1.1, on curricula, as well as leveraging resources on 1.3, as well as assessment on 2.2, as well as teacher support and supervision. Thinking about, okay, not only do we look at data, not only do we see teacher teams, not only do we see impact on the curriculum and leveraging resources and assessment, we also saw how this would drive additional support for teachers and professional learning that is directly related to the assessment data that they were able to see on Insight. So I was particularly impressed with how this school leader was able to leverage the information on Insight. I hope this case study of something that we saw at a school community kind of gives you an idea of how this could be leveraged within your own school community.
This is the answers to the Acadience scenario that Daniel shared, so you'll have the cheat sheet.
We appreciate all of you joining us this morning. So as you know, this insight is just a walkthrough of a quick case study and how it's applied to your school community. We strongly encourage you to go onto the platform, play around with it. It's incredibly powerful. There are additional resources there.
Thanks, Daniel. I saw there's a question. Wait, let me pull up my chat about get district level percentage of our students who met or exceeded expectation for reading end of year Acadian. So just want to quickly answer that question screen. But if you want to go to the Jen or Daniel, if you want to go to the Insight, you can go to the multi-school downloader. In multi-school downloader, select the data points under test data. Okay, I'll wait Jennifer to go to multi-school. You can only access this feature if you support multiple schools. But you scroll down under test data, there's Acadience. That's the first category. Yes. If you open Acadience, you can select reading or math and which administration. So you can open that category, or what Jennifer did is she basically select the whole Acadience, and then you can scroll down to add subgroup column. That's the place where you can select your L population or other population, and then you click download. That will give you a district level file, percentage of people who meeting or under benchmark, etc. Thanks. Item skill information for state tests will be in Insight as soon as we get the data back from the state.
So here's all the Insight resources and support plans. Someone did ask in the chat if we would be sharing this deck with you. We 1000% will be sharing it with you, so you'll have access to all of these things. We've been sharing some of these links in the chat, and you'll have all of them here in one place. Just want to make a plug to sign up at the end. Daniel and I both used to work for UX and design. We were on that team, and we're always looking for users to help test new features. So on the very last link, it's a sign up to be interviewed for new testing features. So please, please, please consider being a part of that.